Hi, this is Frankie from aboutscript, and in this video we're going to pick up where we left off last time with our Why I Love Cats site, and we're going to be learning about some practical applications of JavaScript. In the last video we made this very simple JavaScript greeting program that just does some very basic things, and when I say very basic I mean basic for a programming language, not basic as in if you don't know how to do this, you're stupid, because it takes quite a bit to actually get through this. So hopefully you have some programming knowledge, like I said in the last video, because you'll need it for the JavaScript things. But if not, you can still take the HTML and CSS parts of this course and learn how to do those. So just skip this video if you aren't really into the programming, but more into the design aspect. Assuming you're into the programming, let's move forward and learn how we can make this site more interactive. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this what is a cat link here, which if we remember opens Wikipedia to this page, but we really want people to stay on our site. So even though we offer that as an option, we're going to have some things that try to convince them not to leave. So we're going to be looking at JavaScript very basically using DOM manipulation as opposed to a library that does it for us like jQuery, which you might have heard of. So what we're going to do is do the down and dirty parts of JavaScript, which I really believe that you should learn before you learn how to use something like jQuery, because then when you're faced with a project where it's not available because of speed or file size constraints, you're going to need to know how to do this. So if we open up our developer tools or Firebug with F12, depending if you're using Chrome or Firefox, and we go to our HTML, you see if we inspect our elements, we can go down this. This here is called the DOM. It's this nested hierarchy of nodes called elements. So we see at the root of our DOM is our HTML. Inside that we have the body, then we have this container div, and the container div has a few children, as they're called. The parent of each of these is our container, and the parent of our container is our body. And it's just basic nesting. Think of it as boxes inside boxes inside boxes, and then you eventually have some text at the bottom level of those things. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be traversing this. So kind of we start at the top and then we find something significant and then we go to something significant inside that and we get to what we're looking for. And our goal here is when we click this, we want to have an event handler bound to it, which will stop it from doing what it normally would, and then eventually we'll be able to reissue that event. And then we're going to have it pop up with a message that says, would you really want to leave us? And if they hit yes, then we let them leave. So to start off, we're going to get rid of all this code and start fresh. So we want to create an event. So when the window loads, we have the window.load event, and we're going to set that equal to a function that takes no arguments and does this. Hope remembering how to do this correctly because I haven't done basic DOM in a while and I should have done a little more research first, but we're just going to start off by having an alert that says loaded. And the reason I'm doing this is because we want to make sure that everything's running first before we try to do anything fancy. So let's do a Google search and we're going to search window load event. And we're going to see what it says here for an example. So I should know this, but I don't happen to know it off the top of my head. So I'm going to look it up on the Mozilla Development Network and see what it says to do. So it says just assign a function to this, and it should work. For some reason it isn't, and that might be because we don't have our code included, and that is the case. So we're going to go, and at the bottom of our page, we're going to have a script with an src or source of js/greet.js, and it's not going to have anything inside there. And then our script will be linked. Now, A lot of times you'll put your JavaScript in the top of the page in your head section. The difference there is that if we put it down here, we don't actually need our load event. We can just stick this code in like this, and it should run, and we don't have to worry about any elements not being reached because elements are parsed top to bottom, and you see we get a nice load message. Another thing we can do is a confirm, which we're going to look up the documentation for. And it's going to tell us how this is used. So if we go to our examples here, you see we just stick it in an if statement and we give it a question we want to ask. So we're going to just start this off by saying, and we're going to stick a nice little sad face in there, add a tear for extra dramatic effect. And then on our page, it's going to have this pop up, and then you can either choose whether you want to or not. So now what we have to do is we have to bind it to an element. So we're going to come over to our documentation here and find add event listener. I don't actually know how to spell listener off the top of my head. I must sound incredibly silly right now, but I'm just going to go and search the MDN like this and see what it pops up with. While we're doing that, we want to inspect our page and see what we're looking for. So this is what we want to add an event to. And we see we don't have anything really descriptive on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually add something that will help us find this element. And we're going to use a class, and we're going to give it a class of question this link. And when anyone clicks on a class of question this link, we want it to ask whether they really want to leave. Or we're just going to call it external link. And this is important because in a later tutorial, we're going to show how to specifically style external links, like you may have seen on Wikipedia. And what we're going to do is see if this is loaded. I'm just going to do a new Google search for window.addEvent or add event listener. There we go. And now we have our MDN link for that. So you give it a target. Here's an example here. So you find an element, and then we do add event listener. We give it the type of event, and this is actually what we're going to do. We're going to do a click event, and you give it a function you would like it to call, and then we're not going to worry about the use capture event here, or parameter. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to have it have a function that will put this in it. So we're going to say external check, and that's going to be a function. And what that's going to do is say, do you really want to leave me? We're going to have E for our event. And now we have to find a way to bind that. So we have our external link here. That's our class. So we're going to put that in here, and we're going to say document dot get element by class name. And for our class name, we're going to have external link. And we're just going to do the first one for now. So that's index 0. And then we're going to say dot add event listener. And our event listener is going to be for click event. And when we click that, we're going to refer it to external check. And you notice it's just the name of the function, we're not actually calling it like this. We're just giving it the name of the function, and then when the event occurs, when a click event occurs on this element here, it's going to actually call this function for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here, and we're going to click this, and it says, would you really like to leave us? Now you notice if we hit cancel, it still does it anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, if this is true, if we say yes, we would like to confirm this, we want to do one thing, and if it's not, we'll do something else. So this is a bit more complicated than it has to be, but I feel it shows the example better. So we're just going to return if they say yes, and it's just going to do what it normally would. And then otherwise, we're going to call e.prevent default. And what that's going to do is it's going to prevent the default action of the event. So let's see if this works correctly. We cancel. It's not going to do anything. So if you think about what the default action for clicking a link, the default action is to go to wherever the target of the link is, wherever the address that we're supposed to go to is. So if we hit cancel, it's going to prevent the default on the event parameter. And if we hit OK, it's just going to let it do whatever it was planning on doing in the first place. So if we click OK, it's going to take us to our cat Wikipedia page. And that's just some basic practical JavaScript. We're going to go through some more examples in future videos, but I just thought I would show you that now. Just to give you a little bit of a preview, in future videos, maybe we'll have this image become larger, get rid of these two, and then have the text appear on the page with a button that will take you to the link. So we're going to just have like an intermediary thing, or what we could do is have another page that allows people to be redirected. If you've ever gone on sites and clicked an external link, a lot of times it'll take you to another page before you get to where you're going that'll say, hey, you're leaving our site. Just so you know, and just for your safety, you might not want to go to this place. So click confirm if you want to go and click something else if you don't. So we're going to do that in a future video. And we're going to do it without anything fancy like server-side technology. We're just going to do it with plain JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So join me for the next video where we go into some more advanced HTML. And after that, that might be pretty much the end of our HTML series, but we're going to continue with our CSS and our JavaScript. HTML isn't terribly complicated. It just has some very basic concepts that once you know and once you get used to the elements, you don't really need to worry about it too much more. So I will see you next time for 3-HTML in this series. Thank you.